phoned him up to see how he was doing, and he hung up the phone on me. He said, "I don't want to be talking to you," and hung up the phone. It's been a tough relationship for it got worse the last couple of years. He was very withdrawn, always alone. He wouldn't socialize with us, even when he did live with us. He was very secretive. He wouldn't answer questions about what he was doing online. And we could hear the different chants and prayers. We could hear some of the conversations that were going on, or not conversations, but some of the podcasts that he was listening to when he was living with us. And I was trying to get information as to what he was listening to and why he was going in that direction. He's just a mixed-up kid that got in with the wrong group, and just to let people know that he was loved. He wasn't always bad, if you will.
And he wasn't always radicalized, wasn't even always Muslim. He was born Christian in Saskatchewan. He also lived in New Brunswick. He lived in Ontario and Alberta before he moved to Manitoba, Michael, in 2012.
You know, it's always so difficult because when anything like this happens, people are always asking the parents, how did this happen? How did this happen? And so oftentimes parents don't have the answer.
Yeah,
you know,
it's so hard. How do you answer that now?
Yeah, and you can't live your child's life. But what do we know about the past? Any indications as to when the turn might have happened?
Well, let's have a look at some key dates here, because there certainly are key dates that certain things happen that sort of points you in the direction that this is where things are now. By October 2014, that was the critical date that he caught the attention of CSIS when he began tweeting support for the militant group ISIS under an alias. June 2015, that is when authorities were concerned that he would become involved in planning some sort of terrorist activity, and he was arrested on a peace bond. Then in February of 2016, although he was not facing criminal charges, Driver agreed to a peace bond to limit his activities. That required him to keep the peace, be on good behavior for a certain period of time. Now, after his arrest in 2015, Aaron Driver actually spoke to CBC News. He talked about what he described as a complicated relationship between Muslims and those living in the West, and expressed his views on some attacks that happened here on Canadian soil. Take a listen.
I don't think Muslims really belong in the West. Our ways of life aren't compatible. The truth is we can't practice our religion to the fullest extent here, living under, Canadian laws or just Western laws in general. I mean, Parliament Hill, they were attacking uniformed soldiers. The brother who ran over the two soldiers previously was the same thing. These aren't attacks on, like malls or like any kind of public place, like churches or anything like that. These are attacks on police officers, and these are attacks on soldiers. These are people who are part of the system. It's entirely different. It's not attacking like innocents, people who are just going about their daily lives.
So that was an interview done in 2015 with Aaron Driver. Chilling, isn't it, Michael, to hear his thoughts now, or then, what we know now. But clearly you can hear his ideological beliefs in what he was doing. These were not innocent people, as he said. And his father said that peace bond that we talked about, that when he was arrested, he wished it had been further. He wished that his son had been arrested because maybe he would have been able to get the help that he needed. He said he tried to understand the Quran, tried to understand the religion to try and help his son. But he said he's very sad, but not entirely surprised.
And of course, the difficulty again in this is that you hear a young man speaking for himself, certainly not speaking for all Muslims, and certainly not speaking for Islam.
And the father said that as well. He said, this isn't everyone. This is a troubled young man.